What happens when willpower and guilt collide? In this video, I'm going to share with you the experiences that I've had in dealing with willpower and guilt, and also when working with some of my clients. We talk about some of those struggles and what you can do about it live coming up right now. Hi, I'm Sherry Thacker, and I believe that your life and your health is non-negotiable. And on this blog, we talk about motivational tips that are going to keep you motivated year-round. I share with you some of my workouts and some of my opinions on some health products and everything that I can do to try and help you take your health to the next level and to stay on track. So if you are new to my page and to my channel, please like, please subscribe, share with friends, and share with anybody that you think may benefit from this information. So just checking in here to see as we are looking, as people are joining me. I want to say hi and thank you for joining me on my broadcast today. And let's get started. So what happens when you are battling with willpower? How often are you faced with this? When you're sitting down at the table and you're saying, should I or shouldn't I? Often I would imagine it's when you've got your kids around and you're feeding them something yummy and you want to have some of it and you've got to restrain from it. Some of the family, when you're going out with friends, maybe everybody's having a cake or something and you want some too. How often do you have to battle with willpower? How often do you win? How often do you battle with that guilt right after it? Comment to me down below. Very curious to see what you have to say about that. And in the meantime, I'm going to share a little story with you. Back when I was about 180 pounds, back in my early 20s, I owned and I operated a little pet food and supply store, and I had a dog grooming facility and pet adoption and everything back there. And so right next to my storefront was an M&M meat shop, and there was a young guy about my age who worked next door, and we became friends. And one day he decided to come over and bring me 2 chocolate eclairs, and we chatted a little bit. He went on his way, and here I am staring at these 2 chocolate eclairs. So the decision, to eat them, to not to eat them. And at this point, I was just starting to get into my health a little bit. I was just starting to, exercise. I had no certifications. I really didn't know what I was doing. This was back in 1996. So, I mean, the internet didn't have tons of information or anything out yet. So needless to say, I was making some progress. I was walking on my treadmill every day. I fixed myself up a little nutrition plan, and away I went. So here I am sitting on this bag of dog food and holding, if anyone knows me, chocolate and cream put together makes a very happy Sherry. So yeah, I love chocolate eclairs. I really wanted to eat them, and I devoured the first one. And of course, I get these pangs of guilt after, right? I am just so disappointed with myself that I had this chocolate eclair, but man, I wanted to eat that second one. And that's that conversation that starts going on in your head when you're starting to go back and forth, and you're like, well, I could eat it, and it'll be my very last one, and I'll get back to my diet tomorrow, but I shouldn't eat it because I don't want those calories. But man, that other one tasted so good. And you go on with, you've never had these conversations, right? You can't relate. I'm pretty sure you can. But anyways, here we go. So imagine me in my store. I'm holding the last eclair, and I suddenly go into my dog grooming studio part, and I'm staring over this big garbage bin filled with dog goop and dog poop and dog hair and cat hair and just all the grossy, nastiest things you can think about. And I'm standing over the can. And it was like, to drop, to not to drop. Can I do this? Am I stronger than the eclair? That's what I wanted to know. So, in the movies when things happen in really slow motion, and they're very impactful. So to this day, crystal clear, I see this chocolate eclair fall, and it just falls into the can and is lying there in the goop and the yuckies, right? And if there's no way I'm eating it now. So I was really proud of myself. I was like, yeah, okay, right on. I was stronger than the eclair. So now I had to figure out, was that a one-time thing? Did I win that battle just simply because I already had an eclair? So what happened with that? So what I did was I challenged myself again. And I went and got a Cadbury egg because, again, cream, chocolate, together makes Sherry one happy person. So I went and bought this chocolate eclair and I put it in my freezer, and I was going to leave it in there to see just how long it could stay in there before I broke down and ate it. The rule was I had to have it as a planned event. I was going to eat it specifically for a specific reason. If I had a specific reason for eating it, like I reached a goal or it was something specific on a date. It was a Friday night and I told myself on Monday that I would eat it on Friday. It was something planned, right? So I'm curious to know what you guys think I did with that Cadbury egg. The rule was I was not to have any other chocolate or sweets. That Cadbury egg was the next sweet chocolatey thing that I was going to eat. And so I'd like to know what you think I did with it. Hit me down in the comments. Right down below, let me know what you think. In the meantime, while you're there, please click the share video of this video to share with your friends and family if you think that this information will be useful for them. And I will reveal what I did with my Cadbury egg at the end of my little vlog right now. Okay, so years go by. Now I'm a personal trainer. In fact, I'm just a personal trainer. I'm really green. It's my very first health assessment. Somebody that knew me referred me to this person. So I show up for this health assessment and we're chatting. And this little gal was a nice gal, early married, young gal. Tiny on top, tiny on the bottom, wide in the middle. Right? So we're talking about what we can do to improve her health and her diet. So she says to me, she says, okay, Cher, so I love to eat chocolate, but I have a rule. I do not buy my own chocolate. I will only eat the chocolate that my in-laws give me, which they do on holidays like Christmas, Easter, Valentine's Day, and so on. So they buy all this chocolate, and I store it in a container and I put it in my freezer, and I will only eat that chocolate. The health assessment continues, and she goes on to tell me, well, every night around 8 o'clock, I'm watching TV with my husband. I go to the freezer and I get this clump of chocolate. So I say, about how much? So she shows me, she says, like, I have about this clump of chocolate. Sometimes I might add some ice cream, she says. Okay, so I tell her my chocolate eclair story. And I said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to the freezer, take out all the containers that you have of chocolate, and dump it. So she did not like this idea. She did not like this idea at all. I said, look, you can go to Walmart right after I leave and replace this chocolate. It's okay. But prove to yourself now. Prove to yourself that you can go to the freezer and dump this chocolate. So I'm curious to see what you think she did in the comments below. Write to me now, and I'm going to say hi to Mara and Karina and Eloise and Michael and Cassandra. I'm curious what you guys have to think. Do you think she threw out the chocolate, or do you think she hung on to it? Tell me. Pop in there on the comments and let me know. In the meantime, hit share and hit subscribe to my channel and help share my information with your friends. All right, back to my story. What do you think she did? Well, she couldn't do it. So I said, look, go and buy some new chocolate after I leave, but show yourself now that you can do it. She said, Sherry, you don't understand. I don't buy my own chocolate. My rule is that my in-laws buy my chocolate, and I will only eat the chocolate that they do it. So I'm not allowed to go and buy my own chocolate at Walmart. So I said to her, I said, look, I said, your rule is owning you, because your rule is making you eat your chocolate at 8 o'clock at night. And your rule is not making your butt any smaller. And your rule almost has you in tears right now, because I'm asking you to release control of the chocolate and be strong enough to throw it away, and you can't do it. So I said, something's got to give. I said, something's got to give, right? Because it's not working for you. Needless to say, I encouraged her to dump the chocolate. So she goes with the container, and she's standing over her garbage container, and she's very reluctant. So she says, okay, look, I'm going to take half. I'm going to take half of these chocolates. I'm going to throw it away, and I'm going to keep half. And by this time she was quite angry with me, and you can almost see like the tears swelling up in her eyes. And I'm very curious to think what you guys have to think about that compromise. Do you think that that was a good compromise? Do you think she should have thrown out all the chocolate? Do you think my approach was off? What would you have done in that scenario if that were you sitting there? I'm very curious to see. Comment down below. I'm watching them as they come in, so do let me know what you think about that scenario. But, you know, needless to say, she never hired me as a trainer. And that story has impacted me, because over the years, I remember being put in that situation myself and being strong enough to release the chocolate eclair into the garbage. And then I see this gal and how she handled it. Now, quite certain she probably let me leave that door. She called me one hell of a bitch and went on to eating her chocolate at 8 o'clock at night. I'm very curious today to see if she got that under control or not, or if she finally faced, you know, that fear or that power that chocolate had over her. So very interesting story there. But now we've got to talk about the flip side. So we want to talk about needless guilt. So when you go out for supper and you're cheating on your diet plan and you're having pizza, you've gone out with friends, you've gone to Rockaberries, you're doing something where all of a sudden you're like, oh, why did I do that? You know, I'm suffering from all these pangs of guilt. When is the guilt enough? When can you give yourself that little bit of peace of mind that you can enjoy something that is a little outside the lines, but you've done it in a way that was planned and structured and organized? And even if it wasn't planned and structured and organized, it was something completely on a whim, but you're living the 80-20 rule. All right, so I see Sylvie's coming in and Karina are giving in their opinions. So, you know, you guys know my mindset is that food is fuel. And that phrase now has been around for a long time, but I've been using it for about 15 years because I believe that your mindset about food today has to really shift. I believe that most of the time you have to think about just fueling your body, and you have to have a 20% time when you are eating for pleasure and enjoyment and kind of letting yourself, you know, live a little. But only you know how disciplined you are. So I want to save the food as fuel for another vlog post. But when we're talking about willpower and guilt, you know how disciplined you are. You know if you're making progress or not. You know if you've got that time and that a little bit of allowance. And we're not talking rewards, okay? There's a big difference between, I don't think food should ever be a reward when it comes to your health necessarily. Pardon me. I think that, you know, rewards can be found in other ways. We are talking in those moments when you are going to eat specifically for pleasure. So you know when you can splurge a little bit. Do you? Do you know, or do you really battle with that? Are you faced in these times when you really don't know, you know, how strict do you have to be with your diet, and when can you go outside the lines? Is this something that you're battling? Hit me down in the comments below. Let me know if this is a struggle that you battle with, not really knowing, you know, just how much you can cheat, how frequently you can cheat, and can you cheat guilt-free? Let me know what you think about that. So last night I was in my mastermind call with my 24-hour health kickstart challenge, and we were discussing exactly this topic. So the gal that was participating in the call, she was saying how, she had to stop cheating on her diet, that she was disappointed in herself because every time she was doing cooking, for keto muffins or baking or what have you, that she would take this bag of chocolate chips that were big chunks, and she'd take 2 or 3 of them while she was cooking. And to her, this was standing in the way of her progress. She was not going to make any more progress until she got rid of these chocolates. So I didn't necessarily believe that to be true because I see her 5 days a week. I've seen the progress she's done over the past year. I know what she's accomplished. So I started to question her about it. Now, I'm curious to think if you think I'm about to contradict myself from the story I just told you, okay? Here's the thing. Here's the story. This girl has made phenomenal results in the last year to 18 months since I've known her. Her body is transformed. Her mind has transformed. She's gained muscle. She's slimmed down. But more importantly, she is really dove into the education. She has taken time to listen to podcasts, read books, do all sorts of things. And she's not just trying to follow a quick program, just give me the program so I can follow it and do what you tell me to. She's taking the time to learn how her body works so that she can make all of these proper decisions with her own brain instead of following a plan. Okay, so she's lost 40 pounds, and I believe she's gone through a complete personal transformation. She's succeeding very well in her business. She's being this great mom. She's working on her health every day. She's toning every day. She's building muscle every day. So I asked her, I said, well, how long have you had this habit for? Have you had it for a long time? So she goes, well, she goes, it's been a habit for a while. So I said, well, has it stopped your progress? Have you stopped losing weight? Have you stopped gaining muscle? Are you, is it disrupting your sleep? So she says, no. I said, well, when you do these little cheats, do you eat the whole bag? So she says, no. I said, well, would eating 2 or 3 of these little pieces then constitute being disciplined, being well disciplined? She said, yes. So I said, well, what are you worried about? I'm going to pull out a phrase I'm not a big fan of listening to, or not a big fan of hearing, but it comes out a lot. Yes, we live in the year 2016, so you can live life, right? I think there's times when you can allow yourself, like, here's a scenario. This girl's doing great. She's on track. She's organized. She's structured. She's learned lots of stuff. So she takes 2 or 3 bites of chocolate while she's cooking. Like, it's not something that you have to beat yourself up over. Is it slowing down her progress? Well, really only she knows that. And for sure, you can do every little minute macro out of your body, glucose wise or what have you, to, get ripped. But that's when I asked her, what are your goals? Are you trying to look like these Pinterest girls that are ripped and shredded, and are you trying to look like those girls? Or is your main goal looking to be well educated, fit, strong, be able to rescue your kids from a burning fire, tear them down the street on your back? Are you looking to feel good, not suffer from anxiety or depression? What are your goals in all of this? Because sometimes taking a few extra bites of chocolate while you're cooking should not be the end of the world. It should be the end of the world if every time you're eating the entire bag of chocolate and you can't throw it out if it's controlling you. Now we've got a problem. So basically I just told her, look, you got to relax a little, define your rules. Once you've defined your personal rules for certain things, how and when you can break them. So I made a decision some time ago not to eat bread anymore. So it's very rare that I have bread of any kind. But, bread and butter must be my absolute most favorite thing to eat. So I love bread and butter. When I go on a date night, and it's likely to a pasta restaurant, which I'm not sure I've been into in 6 months or more, they deliver this hot bread to the table. You know, when the bread is hot, yeah, I just slather that butter all on there and it melts, and I could very well have the whole basket all to myself. That's my permission for bread and butter. I used to say that I would have bread and butter on Sunday mornings when we would go out as a family or with friends to breakfast. But even that I've taken out. I don't want bread at that time of day or with that kind of meal. I don't like the way I feel after that. So the other odd time might be on the odd hamburger that I might eat. That again could be a quarterly thing. So, you know, when I go on holidays, the rule is that I only drink wine every second or third night, because having wine or sugary drinks every single day while you're on vacation, it's just way too much sugar, way too many calories, way too much in excess on top of all the other treats that you might have on vacation. So one of the rules that I had was I enjoy a really yummy meal with wine every second to third night while I was on vacation. If I go to the movie theaters, I never buy, if I go wine every second, my own stuff, because that stuff is like crazy bad for you, crazy chemicals, horrible. And, you know, I prefer to bring in a nice healthy option when it comes to popcorn. So those are a few of the little rules that I've come up with over time. But yeah, that's my stories from when, you know, willpower and guilt collide. So long as you're doing these things when it's a planned event, or you're living the 80-20 rule and this is just an off occasion and you know that this is an opportunity where you can live life and splurge a little bit, do it guilt-free. Do it and enjoy it and savor every single bite, which brings me back to my Cadbury egg. Yep, I was able to keep that Cadbury egg in the freezer for a good 6 months, I think, before I ate it. And it was absolutely done on a planned occasion. For what? I couldn't tell you. But I do know that when I ate it, it was intentional. And it was, well, amazing, because I love Cadbury eggs. Woohoo. So listen, if you found this information interesting today, it is the type of stuff you'll find in my 24-hour health kickstart program. By all means, PM me if you'd like some information. We've got a new program starting up really soon. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Please subscribe and share. Don't forget, I have a great YouTube channel that has all of my videos categorized all in the same place. Head over to my YouTube channel to check that out. I hope you guys had an amazing day. This has been Sherry Thacker with Your Life is Non-Negotiable. Signing out. Love you guys.